Hello, everybody, and welcome to my presentation on the academic job search. My name is Ben Heddy, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Oklahoma in the Learning Sciences program, and I'm excited to talk to you today. In this presentation, we're going to talk about how to find a position, how to prepare your academic vita. We'll talk about the interviewing process, and we'll discuss negotiating the contract. So let's begin with how to find a position. When should you first begin? You should start looking at positions the year before you graduate to get a sense of the job market. Even though you're not applying yet, I highly recommend that you look a year in advance so you can see what people are asking for, what type of materials, what expertise, and you can get a sense of how the market will look the following year. Then you should start to look seriously in the fall of the academic year in which you will graduate. So if you graduate in May, you should start looking the fall before that. And most positions will be posted in fall or early spring. In fact, I've been seeing them come out earlier and earlier. You should start checking the job boards as early as June, the June before you graduate. So you should look for positions that fit your interests and skill set. What does that mean? Well, it means that you should consider your strengths and weaknesses, your interest, and your specialization. Getting a job in academia is all about fit. Do your strengths fit the position? Do your interests fit the expertise that they're looking for in the job call? And does your specialization match what they're looking for in a colleague? And all of this will be in the job call. Next, you should consider the position type. Are they looking for somebody who primarily does research? Does the position want somebody to primarily teach? Are they looking for an even load of research, teaching, and service? Is it a postdoc position? Which would you prefer? And then finally, look at the type of institution. You can start with Carnegie classification, which means what research intensity are they? You could look at whether or not they're a doctoral degree granting institution, and this really matters because having doc students can really influence your research program, and it requires a different type of mentoring. So you want to think about, is that something that you would prefer or you'd like to do? And then take into consideration the geographic location. Are you willing to move far away from your family and friends? I would say don't count out a place if it's in a city that you might not expect to prefer. I didn't expect to move to Oklahoma. However, I did, and me and my family really love it here. So you never know. I recommend going to visit a geographic location and decide when you see it. You might be surprised by a place. But these are the things to take into consideration when you look for positions. Think about, do you want to do mostly research? Would you prefer to do mostly teaching, or would you like to do an even spread of all three? So where do you find positions? There are two major sites that I find positions. The first one is called Chronicle.com. The Chronicle of Higher Ed has a website and a job board, and it's a fantastic place to look. It's great because you can filter it by education, by psychology, wherever you might fit the positions. You can also sort by state, institution, or date. The other website I highly suggest is higheredjobs.com. Most positions are going to be posted at both or at least one of these two sites. So these are going to be your go-tos. I recommend checking them once a day, in the morning or at night. Don't make it too much of an obsession, or you can check this all day, every day. and it can hurt your productivity. So I would say pick a time, put it into your schedule, 3 p.m. every day. You'll check these two websites for positions. You might also check ARA, an APA, American Educational Research Association, American Psychological Association. They have their own job boards, and sometimes you can find new positions here. And then finally, one other option is the Psych Jobs Wiki. You're not going to find any new positions here, most likely. Instead, what you'll find is that the Psych Jobs Wiki, and you can just Google Psych Jobs Wiki, is a place where job searchers, job candidates, update the job board and tell you, have they gotten called for a phone interview? Have they gotten called for an on-campus interview? Have they gotten an offer? The nice thing about this is you can kind of move positions out of your mind that you know you didn't move forward on, and you can focus on other positions. So I highly recommend keeping up with the Psych Jobs Wiki and being a good community member and updating the wiki so other people can have the same benefit. So how do you prepare for the process? First of all, get organized. Develop a spreadsheet or filing system for organizing positions. There might be a lot of positions that you applied for. When I was first on the job market, I applied for almost 50 positions. I was searching in the United States, outside of the United States, applying to any position I thought I just kind of fit. And that can be a lot to keep up with. They all have different types of materials they're asking for. So one way to get organized is to develop a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, you'll put the position name, the deadline of the materials, and then what materials they require. Are they going to require a cover letter? They almost always do. In fact, they always do. But then the rest of the stuff could go either way. Do they require a separate research statement from the cover letter? Do they require teaching philosophy, transcripts, teacher evaluations? By creating the spreadsheet, you can keep track of all that. You can also help your letter writers keep track of the deadlines, because you don't want to miss a deadline. A lot of times these deadlines are hard, and if you miss it, you're out. So get organized, devote adequate time, plan on several hours a week. People say it's a full-time job. It's not quite, but it can be like one, especially in the peak of job season, August through February or March. You can spend a lot of time working on this. Work it into your schedule. Don't leave it. Don't leave it to when you have time. I would put job preparation into your weekly schedule. The next is set aside money. And this is kind of unfair, but it's true that you're going to have to prepare for out-of-pocket expenses. Sometimes they'll pay for airfare and a hotel. Sometimes they'll work on a reimbursement system. I've also seen positions where they don't pay for it. So prepare. You might also need a new suit, but set aside some money if you can. And if you can't, be honest with the institution. Sometimes they'll move around their policies to get you there. Be ready to go. Have your talk ready. Don't wait until somebody reaches out to you for an interview. Prepare that job talk and have it ready to go when they call you, and practice this. I will harp on this later, but practice your job talk. Make sure it is ready and in good shape. And then finally, clean up your online profile, take down embarrassing Facebook, Instagram pics. My rule is if you have to say, is this controversial? Yeah, it is, delete it. Or have someone else look at it and help you to clean up your profile, because they will check it. They'll also check the first 5 pages of Google. They'll Google your name and look at what the first 5 pages offer. You can do that too. Check it out and clean it up if you can. Okay, next, the academic resume. What is it? What is a vita? Well, first it's vitae. That means life. And this is a description of your academic life. Is it vita or vitae? Well, technically it's vitae because vita is plural, but almost everybody says vita, and that's what I go with. Sorry, Gail Sinatra. But so this is your vita. It's not like a resume for a corporate position. For corporate positions, 1 to 2 pages, you're kind of making it fancy. You're not doing that here. This is your whole academic life. It's really extensive, could be 5 to 20 pages, and you want it to be very formal. No colored paper, no fancy fonts. What does VITA include? First, it includes your contact information, your name, your phone number, your home address, and your email address. It includes your educational history, all degrees, licensures that you've received, including your dissertation title, your chair's name, and your defense date. Your defense date lets people know that you will graduate on time. Your dissertation title lets people know what you're most currently working on. And your chair's name is just a way to name drop somebody on the search committee might notice and put you in the maybe pile. That's your goal. Do anything to get into the maybe pile. They'll take a closer look and realize that they love you. But first, you got to get in the maybe pile, and that includes name dropping. Your employment history, only relevant employment. I've worked at many places, restaurants, I worked at Lowe's, but I'm not going to put those on there. I've also worked as a social worker. I've also worked as an after school instructor, camp counselor. That stuff I am going to put. Also include any graduate assistantships, research assistantship, teaching assistantship, put all that stuff on there. It also includes your scholarship. So start with journal articles, book chapters, presentations. It includes teaching, courses you've taught, courses you're prepared to teach. It includes your service, local, regional, and national, and your community service. What else does it contain? It contains awards, honors, associations that you belong to. Spell them out. No acronyms. Don't leave people guessing. Grants or funding you've received if you have, your research interest, and a website link, something I highly recommend creating these days, and plaster it on social media, give people something good to search for. What doesn't it contain? It doesn't contain personal information, no birth dates, no social security numbers, no family information, and no marital status. Don't include any pictures or graphics. Don't include non-academic employment, teaching or service, no color, print, or background, no interesting fonts, and no creative formatting. Again, keep it formal, make it easy to read, and you'll be in a good spot. How about the order of the categories? Start with your name and address. Also, pro tip, put your name, university affiliation, and a page number in the heading at the top of the CV. And that way, no matter what page somebody's on, they can be on page 10 and they'll say, oh, I love this. Who is this? Right at the top of the page. Okay, it has your name. Put your name, affiliation, and page number at the top in a header. But also put it on the first page. Also include your educational history, honors and awards, your employment history. Remember, relevant employment only. Professional affiliations. This lets people know what research institutions that you are affiliated with, your scholarly publications and activities, teaching experience, courses taught, courses prepared to teach, your service, and references. I recommend having a final page, its own solo page where you have 3 to 5 references. We'll get more to that in a minute. So, most important, your scholarly contributions. List scholarly work in reverse order. So your most recent first. Separate items by category if you have more than one item in the category. So if you have one book chapter, you might leave it in scholarly work. If you have 2 book chapters, then it's time to create a book chapters category. So list scholarly work in order. Start with your in-press or published journal articles. Remember, chronological order, starting with the most recent first, and then get into book chapters. Manuscripts currently under review. In Job applications, do name the journal. Let them know who you're submitting to. Not on the job market, do not. But if you're on the job market, let them know your identity with your submitted work. Manuscripts in preparation. I do recommend this, but be careful. I only recommend putting your manuscripts in preparation if you have a full first draft written. If you're not quite done with that first draft, don't put it on there yet, because you never know. Academia is crazy. These things might not get out. Wait till you have a full first draft, and then you can put it as a manuscript in preparation. Then your scholarly presentations, national, local. It should be formatted in current and correct APA format. And then pro tip, bold your name in all of them. Okay, so I might have 3 or 4 authors, whether you're first, whether you're fourth, bold your name in all of these listings of scholarly work. What else? So references should be on the last page. After the scholarly contributions, list your letter writers, give their full academic address, phone numbers, and email address, make it so it's easy to get a hold of them. And also, again, it's the name drop thing. Make sure you've asked their permission before listing them. Nobody wants a surprise phone call from a university where you're listed as a recommendation. Ask your recommender's permission first. So, tips in preparing a vita. Must be proper format, no typos, and well organized. Reread it again, revise it, and give it to somebody else, because we will often miss our own typos. So give it to somebody else to look at. Integrity. You must be scrupulously honest, and this is important in a lot of areas. For example, the teaching courses prepared to teach section. You better be very honest, because if you say you can teach structural equation modeling, they are going to ask you to teach it. And you don't want to be in an awkward position where maybe you're not as ready to teach it as you thought. So be very honest about those. That's also your manuscripts in preparation. That's another area to be honest as well. Remember that first or a complete first draft. Be complete. Do not be overly modest, but do not pad. Be current. Keep your vita up to date at all times. I update mine once or twice a week. And get feedback from several professors, your dissertation chair, your advisor, and your colleagues, your grad student colleagues. Before you apply, get to know the position. Read the job call, the description really well. Do some research on the program, do some research on the faculty, figure out what their mission is, their vision, take some notes on all this stuff, and prepare your letter writers. Send an email to all 3 of them, most likely it's 3, inform them that you've applied, send them a copy of the job ad and download it. Pro tip, download the job call, because when the deadline is passed, they'll pull it off of the websites, and it'll come in handy when you do interviews. You'll say, what were they looking for? Oh no, it's off the job site. I downloaded it. Make sure you do that. Also send it to your letter writers. Ask for their letter to be sent when requested. Make sure it gets there before the deadline. Another pro tip, ask them to submit it the day before it's due, so you don't have any accidents where they don't get it in on time. Everybody's busy, it happens. An application usually consists of a cover letter that's 2 to 3 pages. Explain why you are a fit to the position. Sometimes job calls ask for just a cover letter. Sometimes they ask for a cover letter and a research statement. If they ask for just a cover letter, you really need to explain your program of research as well. Why you're a fit for the position, and then cover the 3 pillars of higher ed: research, teaching, and service. I do recommend doing it in that order, no matter what the position is looking for. I always recommend starting with research. Even a teaching intensive university likes to know that you're going to teach undergraduates the research process, and that you teach in a research evidence-based way. So start with research. If there's no research statement, explain your research program, describe your teaching experience, and describe your service experience. Then they will ask for your vita, make sure it's up to date and tailored to that position. They may ask for a research statement. If they ask for a research statement, your cover letter needs to look a little bit different. It shouldn't be your whole program anymore. It should be when you explain your research in your cover letter. If they're also asking for a research statement, you should have a little summary of your research. And then you'll have this research statement where you take 2 to 3 pages and describe your whole program of research. And I do recommend describing your program. Even if they're not quite perfectly connected, connect the dots for them. You did this study, and because you did that, you did this, right? Or here's an overarching theme. I also recommend in a research statement or in your cover letter, if they don't ask for a research statement, describe your future research program. Let them know what you plan to do in the next 3 to 5 years after you get there. They might and the most likely will ask for a teaching philosophy. Make sure it's theory and research based. We're in the field of education. We are held to a higher standard for our teaching philosophy. I always discuss a few theories that drive my research or that drive my teaching, some research studies with citations that drive my teaching, and some worked examples. So for example, I do research on transformative experience. Here's how I facilitate it in class. Here's an actual activity I do, and I describe it. And also state that you love teaching, but that shouldn't be the crux of your teaching philosophy, just a part of it, but do say it. It's important. They might also include a DEI statement more than just for teaching positions. Many universities are also requiring DEI statements, teacher evaluations, sample syllabi, transcripts, and writing samples. Oh, and finish your dissertation. You can't take the job if you don't. So make sure you're continually working on that as well as being on the job market. Congratulations. You have made the shortlist. Now what? Well, expect a phone or Zoom interview. Don't take these casually. These determine who gets the on-site interview. Don't take these spur of the moment. Set up a quiet time somewhere where you know you will have little distraction. Be prepared. Expect questions about your fit to the position, all that research that you did. Be prepared to tie your interests and goals to the mission and vision of that department, college, and university. Be positive but honest and ask questions, but do not ever express doubt. The biggest fear is that they'll invite people out who will turn the job down. So you can ask serious questions, but don't leave them with doubt because they may be afraid to invite you to a campus interview. Congratulations, you have an on-site interview. Now what? Here's what a typical itinerary will look like on an interview. You might fly in Sunday night, have a reception, have breakfast the next morning, meet with the search committee, give your job talk, have lunch with grad students, have an open meeting with the faculty, have a meeting with the dean, meet with the chair, have dinner. It's not over yet. Day 2, 8 a.m. breakfast, which by the way is part of the interview, tour of the campus, visit the local school, have lunch with the faculty again, teach a class, a teaching demonstration, meet with the search committee, tour the community, and go back to the hotel and taken to the airport. It's a lot, 2 full days, sometimes 2.5, sometimes a day and a half, but they are exhausting and very detailed. So about the job talk, find out expectations from the search chair. Are you given 1 talk or 2? Are you given a research demonstration and a teaching demonstration? Figure out the time breakdown and stick to it. If they say 35 minutes, practice that job talk 10 times and make sure you stay within 35 minutes. Don't go a second over. And make sure you figure out, does that include or does that not include the question and answer period? Figure out what technology is available. Is it a Mac or a PC? Do you need web access? I don't recommend that you do, but have a backup plan if you do need it. The audience, figure out who the audience is. You can even ask the search committee chair who's going to be there. Practice and then practice again. I recommend, pro tip, giving your practice job talk to your program, inviting all your fellow grad students to come and give you feedback, inviting all the faculty, even from the college, to give you feedback. And I practiced it twice in front of the entire college and was in a better spot because of it. And then assume all questions have an agenda. They're asking you something because they want to know if they can work with you, whatever it might be. They're not just asking curiosity questions. It has an agenda. Preparing for the interview. Get online and find out all you can about the campus, college, department, and faculty. When I was on a tour of the campus, they were so impressed that I knew all the major landmarks. This research really does matter. It shows that I care enough to do detailed research and I really want the job. Be sure to familiarize yourself with the research of everyone on your schedule. Doesn't mean you have to memorize it. Pro tip, put notes into your phone if you can, or have a little notebook and put notes of everybody you're going to come across. Who's your next meeting? The dean? Go to the restroom, open up your notes. The dean's interested in this, this, and this. Perfect, you're prepped. So I highly recommend that. Tips for surviving the interview. Think hard about going on an interview for a job you don't want. It is a ton of work and it will hurt your productivity. So make sure you want to go there. But do go on the interview if you can even imagine taking the job, because you might be surprised. Never thought I would say I love Norman, Oklahoma, but I do. It's a fantastic place. And I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have came on the interview. Want the offer even if you don't want the job. If you go to the campus interview, you want the offer. You can use it as leverage elsewhere, and you might be surprised by what they offer you. Every event is part of the interview, especially dinners, lunches, receptions, car rides. Every person you meet is interviewing you. A car driver from the airport to the hotel could be interviewing you. I've heard stories of a real estate agent was the dean's spouse and he was asking questions. So that was part of the interview. Dress appropriately and act professionally. Don't act like a grad student. Don't act like a grad student when you meet with the grad students. They want a mentor to be hired, not a friend. So act professional and ask the same question to different people and see if you get different responses. That can be really useful information. So here are some questions to ask. I'm going to go through these really quick. The dean, what's the vision for the college? Expectations for tenure, financial health of the university. The department chair, you might ask about the vision, teaching load, research expectations, startup funds, research space, internal grant programs, travel funds, grant support. To the search committee, expectations for position, climate and department, search process and timeline. Faculty, the view of the chair, the dean, the college, and the colleagues. That can be give you a lot of interesting information. Satisfaction with the climate, their areas of research. Ask everybody about that. They love talking about it. The amount and type of research common, the tenure process and tenure expectations. Notice that was a question to ask almost everybody. That's one where you want to see if you get a similar response. The teaching load, view of graduate students, and ask if collaboration is common. Of the graduate students, you might ask the satisfaction with the program, courses they would like offered, areas of research interest, graduate assistantships, research collaborations, and how they feel about their job prospects. And the staff, don't leave out the staff. Administrative assistants are some of the most powerful in the entire college. They make a ton of decisions. So be nice to them and ask them about the satisfaction with the department, the climate, ratio of staff to faculty, what type of support they provide for faculty, technical support, and they will be the most honest with you. So highly recommend send a thank you email to literally everybody you talk to that you can remember that you talked to it on this interview. Every single person has a part in the decision that will be made on the hire. Everybody will fill out a evaluation form on you. Get into their email inbox, tell them how excited you are about the position and you would love to work with them. You can communicate with the search chair about the process and timeline, but not too many times. You get about one follow-up and then I would just sit and wait and be patient. You don't want to look like you're desperate. Follow up on requests for information if they ask you for anything additional. And if you get a competing offer, call the chair, let them know right away. They can speed things up for you. Okay, congratulations. You have an offer. Now what? Okay, now you really need to finish the dissertation. Remember, you can't take that job until you do. So now it's time to get this thing done. But you can also negotiate the best contract possible, and you should. Hard salary is tougher to negotiate, but you absolutely should. You absolutely should ask to 10 to 15% more of the hard salary. Now, you might not get it, but you should ask for it. It depends on quality of record, if this is your first job or not, whether or not you have counter offers, other institutional factors. Now, there's also soft money, soft dollar things that are highly negotiable. And those include moving expenses, computer and software, teaching assignments and course reduction, research need, graduate assistance, startup funds, travel money, your tenure clock, and partner relocation and job search. We're going to go through all of these one by one, and then finally your start date. So moving expenses, typically they'll offer $2 to $5 grand. Sometimes they'll offer more, sometimes they'll offer less. So be prepared for that, but don't just say, hey, I need $5 grand. I recommend getting a quote and then working up the quote for the institution and say, hey, I got a quote for 6,500. And most of the time they will come and meet that quote. But if you're just asking for $5 grand, they might be like, hey, we give 3. That's all you need. So get a quote, get an estimate or two and use those, make your needs known. Computer, most institutions have a set amount, 2,500, maybe 3,000, sometimes less, but be specific about what you want, a Mac or a PC, any specialized software you need, like Atlas TI for qualitative research, SPSS. Request load reduction, absolutely do this, no matter how high your teaching load. If it's a 2-2, if it's a 3-3, that means 2 courses in the spring, 2 courses in the fall. That's what a 2-2 means. Ask for reduced load in at least the fall. I recommend requesting reduction for spring and the fall. And if they don't want to do that, let them just offer you the fall. And then request courses you're prepared to teach, or request that you only have 1 or 2 courses to prep in your first year or till you get tenure. You could ask for that and see if they will meet you there. Ask for a graduate assistant. They help a lot. Number one, they can just help you do your research and get started, but also they can help with collecting data. They know the ins and outs of the IRB at the institution. A lot of the times they can introduce you to the student culture and help prepare for classes. Super helpful. And you're funding a student who really needs it. So ask for this for sure. Ask for a fully funded GA until you get tenure. And if they don't want to offer that, let them come down and offer you a little less, but that's exactly what I would ask for. Travel money, ask for 2 funded trips a year. And just like the moving costs, work out for them how much it'll cost. Look up plane tickets, look up hotel cost in a common place like Washington, DC, and say, hey, you offered me $2 grand, it's going to cost 3,500 for travel. I want that until I get tenure, and see if they will meet you there. You can ask for startup funds. This varies wildly depending on the institution and the budget constraints. In the field in psychology, it can be 50 to 100 grand. In education, it can be 0 to 2 to 5 grand, but definitely ask for it. Again, work out why you need it and what you need it for. Many institutions will offer 1 or 2 years of startup funds. And if they do that, make sure you use them. They'll sweep them after 2 years, which means take it away. So if you ask for it, use it. And the funds can be used for purchasing software, books, video cameras, crazy useful. Ask for it. You can also ask about partner relocation and job search. It's becoming more and more common. Many institutions offer spousal hire if the partner is an academic. And if not, they can help make connections at places in the community or even get them a job. I've seen that a lot, even if they're not an academic. You can negotiate the position start date. Do you want to start in July 1st instead of August 1st so you can not have a lapse in healthcare? You can do that because salary and benefits start when you start. So you might negotiate that job start date. What's not negotiable, but is very important, look it up. Health plans, they vary greatly from excellent to horrific. So make sure you look those up. They're just as important as salary, if not more. Make sure that you get a PPO offered. For retirement plan, check that out. Some places, OU has fantastic, they match my retirement. It's really incredible. Most places don't do that. Definitely do some research on that, especially if you have options. So a college professor, here's what my friends think I do. Here's what my students think I do. Evil Mr. Burns. My colleagues think I'm a nut. Here's what my parents think I do. Here's what I think I do. The maestro, well, here's what we all actually do. But it's a fantastic job. It's awesome. Thank you very much for listening. Here's my email. If any of you have questions about anything, let me know. I'm happy to answer them, of course. And if you want me to look at any of your materials, I'm happy to do that as well. And I hope you learned something from this. And I hope you have a great conference. Take care.